So is it time you got yourself a self-love routine? Welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time you've ever been here, then I talk about my emotions and my feelings and how I still struggle with anxiety, but how I try and thrive in my life in spite of some of that. I explore all those kind of topical things that have to do with well-being and really just kind of unpack some of the more difficult conversations and look at why and how we get to where we are. If that feels like it might be a benefit for you, then I'd really love you to stick around, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you know each and every time I post a video. So I know it's been a couple of weeks since I did a video, but I have been away on holiday in Spain. I had some proper time out. I consciously was mindful and turned off most of my devices for most of the time that I was away, not completely. It was good to recuperate and I'm back with more ideas and ready to give you more content than ever. So the last video I did was on living with anxiety, just exploring more things around anxiety, what I do, how it feels and stuff like that. And one of the comments I got on was about any ways that I've come across that reduce my anxiety. The ways that I manage it in and of itself help it to reduce, right? One of the most important things I do is my self-love and self-compassion routines, and I do them every single day. And so somebody commented and asked about how to reduce it and then asked me to share it. I think the first thing to be really aware of is that as a 32-year-old man, it's quite difficult to talk about this. I do share it when I do my workshop, particularly when I have groups of men within the workshop. There's always that voice inside my head saying, don't talk about this, don't share this. You know, I play football with a group of men and so I'm aware of the stick that might come with it and how much nobody really talks about how we look after ourselves and how we find a place where we're able to love ourselves. But I do think it's important. So, but I just want to get it out there that I feel awkward talking about it because of the stigma that surrounds it. But I have two routines. So the timings of the routine for me are kind of irrelevant, but they're timings that work for me. But the idea of having one in the morning and having one in the evening is really, really beneficial for me. Now, the first thing that I do is in the evening, I start to wind down half an hour before I go to bed. Now, most days, that starts at 9 p.m. There are things that change that, but I always have a half an hour period before I go to sleep where I start to wind down. Now, during the week, that means ironing and getting all my stuff ready for the next day. When I do that very mindfully, yeah? So I start to try and find some silence time and I set out everything ready for the next day. Two reasons I do that. One, because it reduces any mind work in the morning of trying to figure out what I need to get ready. And two, it means that on the days when I wake up and things are particularly grey, I look across, everything is set out and ready for me, and it reminds me that I loved myself enough the night before to do that for myself, and that's really, really important and beneficial. My morning routine starts for me every morning at 5 o'clock. The time is irrelevant. 5 o'clock works for me in the work that I do. I get up at 5 o'clock, I do 40 minutes of training, some kind of exercise. For me, it's normally weight, but at the moment it's a lot of stretching and cardio. What you do is kind of relevant. It might just be going out and walking the dog. But I think movement straight away is important to fire up the brain. Straight after that, I do 20 minutes in silence. Now that 20 minutes of silence for me is in the sauna at the gym, but it doesn't have to be in the sauna or gym. It could be in the car with no radio on, right? But what's important is the silent time and listening to my inner voices and what they're saying and becoming mindful of them and trying to separate myself from them. That's really important and has taught me so much about myself. It is unreal. After that is where the real self-love routine comes in. I spend around 5 minutes in the mirror. I put on creams and I've got a bag here actually. I've got this bag of stuff that I use. So I've got all different creams. I've got, at the moment I'm using this one. It's not very good. It doesn't smell very nice and it's rubbish. But I have like oils for my beard. I have different, if my beard's short, then I use like a stubble cream. And then I invest in quite a lot of aftershaves. And I use all kind of different ones. My favorite one at the moment, without question, is that one. It smells so good. And I also have a Baraka vitamin drink. Now, I don't know what the creams do, if I'm honest with you, and I don't really know what the vitamin drink does, but it's me consciously beginning to love my body. I find it very difficult as a human being, particularly I think as a man, to love myself unconditionally. What is unconditional love? Unconditional love is loving myself no matter what. I've become quite good at seeing my value, and when I get validated by other people, I find it much better to like and love myself. But it's not always like that, and I make huge mistakes, terrible mistakes, and I need to be able to love myself and find compassion for myself in those moments. When I'm struggling deeply with anxiety, I need to have self-love and self-compassion for myself. So making time to look myself in the eye in the mirror every morning has just become so vital for me, helping to learn to love myself. And I put the creams on and I almost toast myself with the vitamin drink. I don't literally do it, but it's me saying to myself and my body after years of abusing it that no matter what happens when I go out in the world today, I'm making time to love myself now. And the effect of doing that regularly, the effect and impact that's had on my life has been huge. It means in them times when anxiety is crippling me, I find self-love and self-compassion for myself. And it's growing. There's a long way to go on that. It'll probably be a lifetime process for me, but it's had a huge impact. So there you go. I'm wrapping up now, mainly because the battery thing on the camera is showing at me that the battery is about to run out. But I hope it's been useful for you today. Look, I think if you can start implementing routines, 2 minutes in the evenings and 2 minutes in the mornings, it's going to start to have an impact on your life. And once you start doing that, then you will grow them routines. Loving myself is not something that comes naturally to me, so I have to be conscious of it rather than just ignoring it. And then the times when the difficulties come, particularly with my anxiety, the self-love and the self-compassion is there. Like I say, it becomes easier to do things, to get love, but that's different to loving myself in the difficult times. Try it. I'd love to hear what you guys do for your routines. Let me know. I can share some of them on the next video as well, or put them in the comments and we'll go from there. And I will see you 100% next week.